Merry Thanksgiving to you. Merry Thanksgiving to you. Merry Thanksgiving to you.
What is going on with Erica Kirk? You take one little peek behind the curtain, and suddenly, everything about her starts looking shady. From her reality TV appearances to the way she's been caught twisting her own stories about drinking, dating, and even how she first got involved with Charlie, nothing seems to line up. It's like every time you think you've heard the full story, another layer of mystery gets peeled back. According to some online sleuths and independent researchers, Erica's name might be linked to not one, but two high-powered families: the Rothsteins through her cousin Nicole, and the Solomons through her aunt Carla. Now, these are just claims floating around, but people are seriously starting to connect dots that point towards something much bigger. And then there's James Lee, a commentator who's been digging deep into the situation. He's the one who first brought up these connections, suggesting that Erica's rise to power might not have been as clean-cut as it looked. Whether that's true or not, it's definitely stirred up serious chatter online. Even weirder, fans can't stop pointing out how different Erica's lifestyle seems compared to Charlie's beliefs. Charlie Kirk was famously vocal about traditional family values, saying the wife should stay home and focus on raising the kids. But now, Erica's out here running a major company like a boss. It's the total opposite of what he used to preach. And that contradiction alone has everyone talking.
The 1919 World Series, it says that the Cincinnati Red Stockings won the 1919 World Series. There's no asterisk, but then those numbers require you to tell a story about the Chicago White Sox, known to us forever as the Black Sox, who took money from Arnold Rothstein and other gamblers to throw the 1919.
People are asking, how did Erica go from standing quietly beside Charlie to suddenly running the show? Was this all part of a plan, or just a coincidence? Because one thing's for sure, once you take a peek behind that perfect image, the story of Erica Kirk starts to look a whole lot messier than anyone imagined. People are starting to wonder, how does Erica Kirk even have time for her kids now that she's constantly running big projects and making public appearances? Would Charlie have approved of this sudden shift in her priorities? Many think he wouldn't, but here's where things take an even stranger turn. According to Uncommon Sense, records from 1995 show that Erica's uncle, Jack Solomon, once served on the board for the new Center of Jewish Studies at Utah Valley State College, which is now Utah Valley University. The purpose of that center was to strengthen the connection between Jewish and Mormon communities while fostering closer relations with Israel. On its own, that might not seem like a big deal until people noticed that Charlie's tragic passing happened at that very same university. That detail made people stop and say, wait, what? The overlap feels just too unusual to ignore. The archived article titled "Center Furthers Jewish-Mormon Kinship," published back in 1995, explains that the center aimed to build bridges of understanding through lectures, classes, and community events. Both faiths, the article noted, have shared struggles and histories shaped by persecution. A noble idea on paper, sure, but one that now feels strangely tangled up in this broader mystery. In that same report, Jack Solomon himself was directly quoted saying that Utah had shown incredible support for Jewish culture and community life. He was described as someone deeply involved in fostering faith-based dialogue, and he had lived in Utah for more than 15 years by that time. People are pointing out that this same college, which used to be called Utah Valley State College, UVSC, before becoming UVU, keeps popping up in ways that seem impossible to dismiss. It's the exact place tied to both Erica's family history and the tragedy that shook her world. The coincidences are stacking higher and higher, leaving everyone asking the same haunting question. Are these just random overlaps? And Nicole Rothstein, as it turns out, is her cousin. How do we know that? Well, she responded to a clip featuring Erika Kirk talking about her Shabbat Shaloming, and she responded by saying, quote, "As her cousin who is fully Jewish, half of her family is Jewish. While she herself is a Christian, she has celebrated many Jewish holidays with our side of the family and highly respects the Jewish religion. Or is there a deeper story connecting Erica's powerful family roots to the events that changed everything? Here's where things get even more unexpected. Historical records reveal that Brigham Young, yes, that Brigham Young, actually donated the land for the Jewish community cemetery. And the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints even helped fund the building of a synagogue in Salt Lake City all the way back in 1903. That's right. When the synagogue was dedicated, then LDS Church President Joseph F. Smith personally gave the opening address. The article quoted Jack Solomon, explaining that Utah's Christian and Jewish communities had long shared a bond of mutual respect and curiosity. He said the new center's mission was to help both groups understand each other's traditions, study their shared history, and strengthen their connection through education and faith. Now here's the twist that left people speechless. All of this historical cooperation between Mormons and Jews directly ties back to the same Utah Valley campus that would later become central to the Erica and Charlie Kirk story. It's wild how these circles keep closing in on each other. And to clear up some confusion, yes, Utah Valley State College, UVSC, and Utah Valley University, UVU, are one and the same. The school officially changed its name and achieved full university status on July 1, 2008, after expanding its programs and student body. So, when people mention UVU in connection with Erica's family or with Charlie's final appearance there, it's not two separate places. It's the same institution, just under a new name. And that simple fact has sparked a whole new round of speculation online, because once again, the puzzle pieces seem to fit a little too neatly together. And the Rothsteins, I'm just going to add, is a pretty famous crime family in American history. As the puzzle deepens, one can't help but notice how every small detail surrounding Erica Kirk's world seems to connect back to Utah Valley University, a place now wrapped in mystery, emotion, and unanswered questions. What began as an ordinary college has somehow become the backdrop for one of the most talked about controversies in recent memory, blending family ties, faith, and an unsettling pattern of coincidences that just won't fade away. It quote. It is no secret that Erica Kirk's life has shifted dramatically since Charlie's passing. Once known for promoting family-centered values alongside her husband, she now stands at the head of a massive organization, polished, powerful, and poised for influence. But as her public image rises, whispers grow louder about what's really going on behind the scenes. Some followers of Charlie's movement say her transformation feels too fast, too strategic, as if someone somewhere had already mapped this path long before tragedy struck. People online have been drawing wild comparisons between the woman Erica was during her marriage and the woman she's become since stepping into the spotlight. Back then, she played the role of the supportive wife, appearing soft-spoken and humble. Now, she's giving speeches, making executive decisions, and mingling with political insiders. A complete 180 that's shocked even those who once admired her. Many believe that the key to understanding Erica's rise lies in her family's deep connections. Her uncle Jack Solomon's involvement in interfaith initiatives decades ago may have seemed harmless, even inspiring at the time. But now people can't help but wonder if that same network of influence paved the way for Erica's powerful alliances today. Arnold Rothstein, nicknamed the Brain, was an American racketeer, crime boss, businessman, and gambler who became a kingpin of the Jewish mob in New York City. Rothstein was widely reputed to have organized corruption in professional athletics, including conspiring to fix the 1919 World Series. He was also a mentor of future crime bosses Lucky Luciano, Meyer Lansky, Frank Costello, Bugsy Siegel, and numerous others. Interesting family history, I would say, for the all-American girl next door. It's not that anyone's accusing her of wrongdoing, but the timing, the circles she moves in, and the institutions tied to her family make it hard to ignore the bigger picture. Adding to the curiosity, Utah Valley University itself has a fascinating history. Long before it became a major educational hub, The school was deeply involved in community-building programs, initiatives that often blended politics, religion, and philanthropy. Those early foundations shaped UVU into a meeting ground for people of power, faith leaders, and rising influencers. And now, decades later, it's the same ground where one of the most mysterious stories in recent years unfolded. Students who attended UVU during Charlie Kirk's visit described the atmosphere as strange, almost charged with tension. Some said there was an odd sense of unease before the event even began, as though something big was about to happen. Others recall the moment when news broke and confusion spread across campus like wildfire. The university released a carefully worded statement, but it raised more questions than answers, leaving people to piece together what really went down that night. In online forums, independent researchers have tried connecting the dots, tracing Erica's family tree, old business filings, and archived university board documents. What they've found so far paints a picture of influence stretching across multiple generations, from philanthropy to politics, and now to modern media. Whether or not Erica is consciously leveraging those roots is anyone's guess. But it's clear she's not moving through this world alone. Another layer that keeps resurfacing is the strange link between faith and power. Utah's religious landscape has always been unique, blending Mormon heritage with global outreach programs that often intersect with political causes. That same blend now appears in Erica's orbit. Her messaging often touches on faith, values, and destiny. Yet, critics say it feels more like branding than belief. They question if the woman speaking today is still guided by the same principles that once defined her husband's mission. Some former colleagues have also noted how Erica's tone changed over time. Early on, she used to speak with warmth and vulnerability, often referencing her faith and her family's struggles. But now, her tone feels sharper, more strategic, like someone who's learned how to control every narrative that comes her way. People close to the situation believe that Erica might have been surrounded by powerful advisors who helped shape her new image, transforming her from a grieving widow into a commanding public figure with an unmistakable agenda. Behind closed doors, there are whispers of tension between Erica and some of Charlie's former allies. They reportedly feel she strayed too far from the message Charlie stood for, focusing less on faith and more on optics. Yet no one dares to challenge her publicly. Her influence has grown to the point where even her critics tread carefully, fearing the backlash that might come with speaking out. Interestingly, some Reddit users and podcast hosts have pointed out how Erica's speeches now often echo the same type of polished rhetoric that comes from big consultancy firms. The kind of language that's meant to inspire followers while quietly protecting financial interests. And the most suspicious part, every time someone tries to investigate where the new funding for her ventures is coming from, the trail seems to vanish behind nonprofit networks and private donors. It's no wonder the internet is buzzing with questions. Is this just coincidence? A woman reinventing herself after heartbreak? Or is it a carefully orchestrated evolution backed by the same influential connections her family has maintained for decades? Because if there's one thing the past few years have shown, it's that the line between faith and power can get blurry real fast. What, quote, is even more puzzling is how Erica's image management seems almost too perfect. Every photo, every appearance, every quote is timed and polished for public appeal. Some fans admire that level of control, calling her resilient and inspiring. But others see it as a calculated mask designed to keep people from asking hard questions about what really goes on behind those executive meetings and private fundraisers. And then there's the question of legacy. What happens to Charlie's original vision now that Erica's steering the ship? Will she carry it forward with the same values he once stood for? Or will she reshape it into something entirely new, something built in her own image? Because one thing is certain, Erica Kirk is no longer the woman standing quietly behind her husband. She's now the one commanding the stage, rewriting the story, and controlling who gets to tell it. Still, that transformation comes with a price: the scrutiny of a public that remembers everything. People remember her early contradictions, the stories that never quite matched up, and the family connections that keep resurfacing like ghosts from the past. Whether she embraces the role of power player or not, Erica is already part of a much larger narrative, one filled with faith, influence, and the kind of mystery that never truly fades away. And as the story continues to unfold, one can't help but wonder how much of Erica's life is genuine destiny, and how much of it has been designed by the powerful forces surrounding her all along. The deeper you dig into this story, the more it starts to feel like a tangled web of power, image, and influence, all revolving around Erica Kirk. What once looked like a love story wrapped in faith and family values has now turned into something that feels more like a political chess game. Every move she makes, every connection that surfaces seems to lead to another layer of this strange network she's surrounded by, one that stretches far beyond her late husband's world. People who followed Erica since the early days say the change didn't happen overnight. It was slow, deliberate, and almost invisible at first. Right after Charlie's passing, she appeared heartbroken and lost, staying quiet while everyone else spoke about his legacy. But within months, she started appearing on stage again. This time, not as the grieving widow, but as a strong, confident woman ready to lead. It shocked those who knew how private she used to be and made others suspicious about who was helping her behind the curtain. Several commentators have noticed that Erica's new tone mirrors that of professional PR experts, polished, assertive, and perfectly media-friendly. Her words feel rehearsed, her interviews carefully structured. Gone are the days when she'd tear up talking about her husband's mission. Now it's about vision, strategy, and forward momentum. Her rebrand isn't emotional, it's executive level, and it's impossible not to notice. What's catching even more attention is the timing of her corporate rise. Around the same period, old connections from Utah, her family's history, and past donors suddenly started reappearing in new roles. A few familiar names showed up on nonprofit boards and startup investor lists that had ties to Erica's growing ventures. It could be coincidence, or it could be another piece of the puzzle. And when you look at who benefits from her success, things start to look even more calculated. The organizations she now oversees receive heavy funding from private donors, most of whom remain unnamed. Some researchers online have pointed out that many of these donations flow through shell nonprofits and advisory groups that don't disclose where the money truly comes from. Nothing technically illegal, but it's the kind of setup that makes people raise their eyebrows. Even stranger is how Erica has subtly distanced herself from Charlie's old allies. People who once stood beside them at rallies and church events are no longer seen near her. She's reportedly surrounded by a new inner circle: slick business minds, brand strategists, and people who specialize in shaping public perception. That shift alone has fueled dozens of viral threads questioning whether Erica's newfound confidence is self-made or part of a much bigger agenda. Her social media presence tells the same story. It's carefully curated, bright, motivational, filled with quotes about leadership and perseverance. But what's missing is any sign of her old life. No posts about her late husband's speeches, nostalgia for the past, not even small tributes like she used to share. It's like she's drawing a line between before and after, presenting herself as someone reborn, almost unrecognizable from the woman people thought they knew. And then there's the irony that drives people wild online. The fact that Charlie built his entire platform on traditional values, emphasizing family, faith, and humility, while his widow now leads a multi-million-dollar brand that thrives on fame and visibility. Critics see it as the ultimate contradiction. The woman once held up as the symbol of modesty, now embodying everything her husband preached against. This shift hasn't gone unnoticed by their followers. Many longtime supporters of Charlie's message have voiced confusion, even disappointment, at how quickly Erica seemed to embrace this new public persona. Forums are filled with heated debates. Some say she's evolving and standing in her own power, while others believe she's been molded by unseen influencers who've been waiting for the right time to step in. But it's not just her transformation that's stirring talk. It's the setting where it all began. Utah Valley University still looms large in this story, a place now haunted by symbolism. That same institution once celebrated faith unity through Erica's uncle, Jack Solomon, and years later became the scene of the tragedy that changed her life forever. You can't write that off as mere coincidence, not when the same family names and connections keep surfacing. One theory gaining traction is that Erica's current influence may have been built using those long-standing relationships, the ones that stretch back decades through education, religion, and finance. The Solomons and Rothsteins were names once tied to business and philanthropy, and even now, their connections appear in new forms on boards, councils, and committees. Some believe Erica inherited more than just family legacy. She inherited access to networks most people never even see. Those who defend her say she's just a smart woman using every resource available to continue her husband's dream. They argue that she's navigating a man's world with determination and intelligence. And maybe that's true. Maybe she's simply playing the game the way it's always been played, only now she's the one calling the shots. But others aren't so sure. They point out that too many events line up too perfectly. Too many coincidences feel planned. When every door opens without resistance, people start wondering who's holding the keys. They talk about the same advisors appearing across multiple ventures, the same donors funding overlapping causes, and the same media outlets conveniently promoting her every move. Even her public image, flawless, confident, untouchable, has become part of the conversation. Some see her as empowered, while others see someone carefully protected by people who need her to stay in the spotlight. Because as long as Erica Kirk is visible, the story remains controlled, and whoever's behind her can keep shaping the narrative just the way they want it. So, that brings us to the final question. Is Erica Kirk simply a widow reclaiming her life, or is she the face of a calculated power move decades in the making? From the deep ties at Utah Valley University to her sudden corporate rise, the coincidences are becoming impossible to ignore. But I want to hear from you. Is this destiny or design? Drop your theories in the comments below. And if you want to keep peeling back these layers with us, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. The story isn't over yet. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.